This is the van that we'll be fitting to. We're going to get it in the workshop now, get it jacked up, remove the wheels before we start fitting. Okay, as you can see, we've taken the road wheels off and jacked it up, put it on axle stands, so we're now ready to try up the side skirt. Okay, what we've done here, now we've got the van jacked up and on stands. I've just put the skirt in place, just holding it with a couple of clamps, just holding it in place, nothing's fixed or bonded. What I want to do now is just do a little bit of fine sanding, just little pieces here. Just want to fine sand that to make sure that sits back into the groove quite nicely. Same with the rear, I need to just fine tune. Just fine tune with a bit of sandpaper to get that right. What we also must pay attention to is the bottom of the door on a T4. A lot of T4s are getting on a little bit now, getting a bit older. We've just got to check that the door is in the right place. A lot of them have dropped. This one isn't too bad, it seems pretty good, but a lot of them have dropped, so you do have to pay attention to that. Make sure that the bottom of the door will clear the new side skirt. So we're going to do that for a minute. For the last few minutes I've just been sanding up the little corners, making sure they all fit nice. Been using just a block of wood with a bit of 80 grit sandpaper on it, and as you can see now I've trimmed in this edge, sanded it in, so I'm happy with the way that's sitting now. So we can move on now to actually fitting the skirts. We're going to physically hold the side skirt to the van using a combination of polyurethane sealer and 2 mechanical fixings, i.e. a screw, one each end. The polyurethane sealer that we use today is the Indasa version, but you may also know it as Sikaflex or Tiger Seal. There's many different versions on the market, all are equally as good. We're going to use a bead of polyurethane all the way down the edge of the skirt to hold it to the vehicle. We're also going to put a screw, one each end, just on the wheel arch return as a mechanical fix. We're also going to use these medium-sized DIY clamps just to pin the centre in place overnight while the bonding goes off. To give the PU sealer a good bond to the vehicle, what we're going to do, just using a bit of 80 grit paper, is just rough up this edge here and give that a key where the polyurethane is going to sit. We're going to do this all the way along the vehicle, as I said, just to give it a key. But go gently, make sure not to scratch up the door or scratch up any of the area that you're going to see, because you'll have deep scratch lines that then have to be dealt with. So you just want to do the area where the skirt is going to bond. So we're going to go all the way down through there with this bit of 80 grit. We've run our sandpaper all the way along the bottom of the sill. I've wiped that off with a bit of solvent now so it's nice and clean. And what we're going to do next is fit the side skirt up. We're going to put a nice thick bead of polyurethane all the way down the inside edge and to the returns. We're going to clamp that up, and then we're going to put our 2 screws in each end. Okay, I just want to show you what I've done here. As you can see, I've put a bead of polyurethane all the way along, kind of evenly-ish kind of bead, all the way along, like that, to bond on with. Again, I just want to show you how far I've got. I've got the sill in place, I've put a clamp at each end for a moment and a clamp in the centre just for a second. I'm going to screw this end in first, making sure that I get the kind of angle that I'm happy with, and get a fixing in there a bit. We have the side skirt in place and I'm happy with that. Let me show you what I've done. As you can see, there's a screw in the end there, we screwed through. That's gone in there really nicely. What I've done is I've put a clamp halfway down through, which is clamped underneath the body to the other side of the van, I put a clamp just there, like that. Again, the bottom edge of the clamp is on the sill line itself. It's on the welded edge of the sill. The top's just on top of the side skirts. Just pulling that down, clear that door properly, so I'm happy with it. Doesn't catch the bottom of the door. And screwing the end there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run a bead of sealer all the way along the edge just to finish off that gap, and then we'll be there. As I said, I'm going to run a thin bead of sealer all the way along this edge now, from the door opening all the way along to the rear wheel arch. I've changed the nozzle on my polyurethane, put a fine standard end on it now, right, and I'm just going to run a bead all the way along that edge. Yeah, I'm going to smooth it with my finger, and then I'm going to wipe away the excess with a little bit of standard thinners, cellulose thinners, with a rag. And there we have it, that's our sill fitted now. As I said, I've been along with the polyurethane, put a bead all the way down, wiped away the excess with a wet thinners rag, and that's looking nice, neat and tidy. Seam all the way along now, looking ideal. Right, we're happy with that. So that's our sill fitted. We can't touch that now till tomorrow. Need time to let that polyurethane go off correctly. So we're going to leave that now till the morning, and then we'll come back to it then. Just removed all the clamps. Our side skirt is now fitted. Really happy with the way it's gone. Nice clearance along the bottom of the door. The seam line that we put in is nice and even and tidy. Yeah, really happy with that. So we're going to put some primer on that now, and then we're going to move on to the other side. Okay, as you can see, we've turned the van around, put it on axle stands to do the passenger side. First thing we've got to do, the kit comes with a plastic angle, 1-inch angle, which has to be attached to the side loading door. What this does is give you a base at the bottom of the skirt to attach to. So basically what we're going to do is just bomb that there along the bottom with a bit of polyurethane sealer. That then gives us, as I said, a base for us to put the skirt on to attach to the bottom. So we're going to put that piece on there like that now and get that done. We've attached the plastic strip to the bottom of the door. That gives us now a point to fix this skirt. With the rest of the skirt's got the bottom edge, the welded line at the bottom of the sill to touch against so they don't move forward and backwards. With the side loading door you haven't got that, so that's why we've added this strip. This strip now gives us a point to attach to at the bottom, so it can't move forward and backwards. It's not waving all over the place. That gives us that place just there. So what I've done, I've bonded that on, but I've also done some screws for the back with speed clips, just to give me a mechanical fix as well. Happy with that now, so we're going to move on to the front section and get that fitted up. We've moved forward to the front section. Now the reason we jumped from the front section from the side loading door is we need to place this one first. And the reason for this is, as I said before, the welded line along the bottom touches the bottom of the side skirt, so that gives us our vertical positioning right there. So the skirt can't push any further back. That's the place it goes. Now, with the side loading door one, because of this piece that we put underneath to attach to, that can slide any degree forward or backwards. So by attaching this front one first, that will give us our positioning to then attach the side loading door to. Okay, so we're going to do this as we've done before. We're going to bond this on with a polyurethane sealer. What I would say is just take a few minutes just to make sure that the edge is correct. Here, might take a little bit of fine sanding just to make sure that the edge sits nicely up around the wheel arch section, and then it all sits nicely. Any fine sanding's done now before we bond it on. So we'll just check to make sure that's in the right place, and then we'll put a key along this like we did over the other side. Just scratch it up with a bit of sandpaper and give it a key, and then we'll get set to bond that on. I've keyed all the surface along the sill in a bit of 80 grit paper, so it gives it a key. As you can see, I've put a bead of polyurethane all the way along the edge there. Got all my clamps ready, my DIY clamps, so let's stick it on. And there's our front skirt in place. As you can see, I've used my DIY clamp again, being conscious of that door gap and making sure that there's enough clearance on the bottom of the door. Put a clamp there to hold that end in place, and we put, you can see that, put a screw in the end there like that. What I also do is a couple of bits of tape here, was bowing just very slightly in the middle, just only a mil or so, very lightly, so I just put a bit of tape there to hold that in place. I'm now going to finish the seam in there with the polyurethane, and then we'll be able to move on. When fitting the final side loading door section, there's a couple of things we have to be aware of when we're doing this. Firstly, we've got to make sure when we put it on that we even it up with the front section, so we have the same level all the way through. What we've also got to do is where this section cups the sill at the end, we have to make sure that that gap is slightly proud, so there's a bit of a gap there, so when the door is slammed, that it goes past its rest point, it doesn't keep bashing at the end of the sill and making any damage. So what we're going to do is put our polyurethane on all the way along like we have done before. We're going to place up the sill in place. I'm then going to drill through the skirt into this plastic trim to position it at the bottom. So the position at the bottom is where I want it to be. I've tried to sill up the side skirt up against the sill, and I'm happy with the gap that I've got at this end, so I'll be happy with that. I can always adjust that afterwards anyway. I can trim that back by leaving the door open slightly. So I'm going to polyurethane that, bond it to the door, put a couple of screws in underneath, clamp everything in place once I'm happy. So we'll do that. And that's our side loading section fitted. As you can see, I've got a clamp, got the door open, got a clamp each end, and I've seamed all the way along. What I've done is when I got it in place and I was happy, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a screw there underneath which held to that piece of plastic that we put in earlier. That's held it from the bottom. Polyurethane all the way along, and as I said, we've clamped it for it to go off overnight, and then we'll have a look tomorrow. Okay, there we are with our side skirt fitted this side. As you can see, nice even gap there that we lined up yesterday. Happy with the way that's gone in. Seamed all along that edge, happy with that. The only thing I am going to do, if you look closely, there's a nice little even gap round here. It's coming a little bit tight there, so I'm just going to, before I go any further, I'm just going to fine sand just a mil or so off that edge, because as I said earlier in the video, when the door slams, that'll come in and touch, and we don't want it to keep bashing against the van. So I'm just going to even that up across there, probably just take 1.5 mil off that edge, just to finish that off. And of course I can do this because when the door opens, it gives me plenty of access to trim that bit off. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be happy. Last bit of trimming done. I took a little bit more off that edge there to make sure that there was just the slightest bit of gap between the sill and the door, so when the door slams that doesn't slam against the sill. So I've taken a little bit more off that, but still happy with that. Looks neat and tidy. Watch it's all in colour. Looks stunning. And finally, it's the van back from paint. Side skirts all fitted and finished.